Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 5:30 News on KPAX, Montana's news leader.
Good evening, I'm Dennis Bragg.
And I'm Jill Valley. A woman who was close to the man who was found dead in a van parked at the Kalispell Walmart is painting a better picture of what led to 61-year-old David Martinez to a tragic death.
As MTN's Nicole Miller reports, his fiancee remembers him as a loved and wanted man whose declining health helped seal his fate.
I met David when I was 16. He was a surfer, and he was handsome and funny and exciting, and I fell in love with him. He was my very first love.
Katie Wilson says she will never forget the love of her life.
Look at that man.
Her fiancé, David Martinez. The 61-year-old man found dead earlier this week in a parking lot inside his van.
This gentleman was found in the early morning hours of the 29th, deceased in his van and that he'd been living in the Walmart parking lot.
But Wilson says there's been some misconception.
David Wiley Martinez did not die a homeless indigent man in the Kalispell parking lot of Walmart.
While it was thought that David Martinez was a homeless man, his fiancé says he actually had been living in this home with her until they got in an argument in about mid-November about his diabetes.
Came home from the doctor and he told me that he had to go on the injectables. A rash started on his calf, on his leg. And it slowly, over about a month, covered his entire body.
In a lot of pain and his health declining fast, Wilson says Martinez told her he was giving up. She says they got into an argument, he left, and she never saw him again.
Because of all the medications and the pain and going on the injectables and it not working, not getting his blood sugar where it needed to be, he did talk about that he was, done. We couldn't take any more.
And Wilson says she just wants people to know he was a good man and a loved man.
He was a man who was very loved and wanted. And I'm so sorry that this happened.
Nicole Miller, MTN News, Kalispell.
Wilson is planning a special memorial for Martinez. She says they plan to paddle out into the ocean and spread his ashes over the ocean where he loved to surf.
A 19-year-old Missoula man is charged with felony aggravated assault after prosecutors say he caused brain damage to his infant. In court documents, prosecutors say 19-year-old Sean Joseph Lewis and the child's mother brought the 2-month-old child to a Missoula hospital December 23rd with head injuries. Medical personnel determined this baby girl suffered extensive and permanent brain damage. Now, the mother told police she left the baby in Lewis's care while she left to do laundry. She told police when she returned, the little girl was lethargic and vomiting, and Lewis tried to discourage her from taking the baby to the hospital. Lewis told detectives that he believed he had been the cause of this and that while he was standing and rocking the child, the baby fell from his arms. He said the girl was unresponsive after the fall, so he shook her back and forth vigorously for 3 to 5 minutes, trying to revive her. Now, medical personnel say they didn't see any bruising or other external injuries that would have been caused by a fall. Lewis was scheduled to appear in court this afternoon. Well, a mostly clear day for western Montana. There's a shift in the weather, though, that could bring some freezing rain. For more, let's go over to Chief Meteorologist Erin Yost with her first forecast. Erin.
Yeah, unfortunately clear up in the mountains for most of our valley locations. We were totally socked in with those low clouds once again, that fog, and that unfortunately is going to come into play here as we head into the next couple of days. Those cold pools in our valleys, you can see, well, you can't really see the cold, but it's there. In Hamilton, our First Security Bank ICAM, that cold air will come into play as we see our next system moving in from the southwest. That is ushering in warmer air aloft. That means up high. So when it starts to precipitate, you start to see mixed precipitation, much like is happening off to our west-southwest right now. So freezing rain in the forecast. All those details coming up.
It's not that time of the year when you even think about going swimming, but for Missoula firefighters, January is exactly when they train for the unfortunate instance of you ending up in the river. Missoula Fire Department teams gathered on the frigid banks of the Clark Fork River today to start their annual training for ice rescues. Over the next few weeks, dozens of firefighters will refresh their skills for saving someone who falls into the icy water. That includes using a variety of tools to safely reach someone across the water or the ice along the banks before they drift out of sight, and then getting them back to shore. That might involve using a special pontoon raft as a rescue platform, tossing a line to the swimmer, or even using a river board so a rescue swimmer can reach a victim quickly. And it's a tough call too, since conditions can change by the hour. Firefighters tell us the best thing is to stay off the ice entirely and a safe distance away from the banks of the Clark Fork, especially keeping your pets out of the water, not trying to rescue them if they fall in. And to keep an eye on those changing conditions in western Montana, all you need is a mobile device. Just download the KPAX Storm Tracker weather app to get the latest forecast from our KPAX Storm Tracker weather team.
The U.S. Department of Justice has a message for the marijuana industry. Growing it, distributing it, selling it, it's all against federal law. Today, Attorney General Jeff Sessions reversed an Obama-era memo giving marijuana a pass in states where it's been legalized by voters. Weijia Zhang reports.
The Department of Justice has rescinded an Obama-era memo that said the federal government would not stand in the way of states that legalized marijuana. Attorney General Jeff Sessions' office says now there are no safe harbors. The new guidance gives federal prosecutors more discretion in how they enforce the federal law in the 8 states where it is legal. And according to the Department of Justice, any use of marijuana is against federal law, even if it's used medically. Colorado Senator Cory Gardner slammed the decision on the Senate floor.
This is about a decision by the state of Colorado, and we were told that states' rights would be protected.
Seattle's mayor says it would be wrong if the federal government diverts any resources away from the opioid epidemic to prosecute legal marijuana use.
We will not be bullied by an administration that seems obsessed with dismantling things that are actually working.
Caitlin Becker is a policy manager at Drug Policy Alliance, an advocate of legalizing marijuana and ending America's war on drugs.
If you are a medical marijuana patient or you're someone who owns a medical dispensary or an adult use dispensary, you might have good reason to be in fear right now.
Today's memo may come as no surprise to the marijuana industry, as a Senator Sessions condemned legalized marijuana.
We need grown-ups in charge in Washington to say marijuana is not the kind of thing that ought to be legalized.
But then candidate Donald Trump on the campaign trail took a different approach.
But I think in terms of marijuana, and legalization, I think that should be a state issue, state by state.
Absolutely not.
Today, the White House press secretary said when asked about the reversal, the president believes in enforcing all federal laws. Weijia Zhang, CBS News, Washington.
The Montana Department of Revenue is making a big change ahead of this year's tax season. The agency will no longer print paper copies of its income tax forms or filing instructions. MTN's Jonathan Berrien looks at the options you'll have when they're ready to file.
In the past, the Montana Department of Revenue has printed out about 58,000 income tax brochures each year. Many were made available in places like public libraries. But Department Director Mike Cadis says budget cuts have made it impossible to continue that service.
It is not a choice we really wanted to make, but as we looked at kind of the totality of our budget and the kinds of things that we could cut, this was one of the things that rose to the top.
The Revenue Department has lost about 8% of its budget over the last year, after state leaders made wide-ranging spending cuts to address a $227 million budget shortfall. The department can save about $60,000 a year by not printing these copies. Despite the change, Montanans will still have a number of alternatives when they file this year.
This is a place where there are other ways for folks to get those forms.
One option is to file electronically. The Revenue Department plans to launch a new website on January 16th. It will include links to online filing services available to Montanans. Many will be available for free, depending on a person's income.
Today, over 85% of our income tax filings are done digitally.
If you still want to use a paper form, you can print it off yourself. Revenue's website will include links to each of the forms. For people who don't use computers, the department has a call center with staff who will work to find an option for them.
We will do our best to help them kind of file their taxes accurately and on time. And we think that with some help, we can accomplish that for everyone.
Jonathan Amberian, MTN News, Helena.
If you have any questions about how this changes tax filing, you can contact the Revenue Department call center at 406-444-6900. Too many fours in there.
Lots of fours. All right, are you ready to fly, Missoula? Local entrepreneurs say they're happy to finally offer their business to the community as Flying Squirrel opens its doors today after months of hype and waiting. The International Trampoline Park chain opened its first Montana location after weeks of construction delays.
Well, we're originally from this area, so we want to offer our unique concept to the people of Montana, and especially Missoula and its surrounding towns. So since it's such a unique place and it's fun for the whole family, there's nothing like this here in Missoula. We want to help kids break away from the video games and actually have an active, healthy lifestyle.
Luke and his brother Cody, both originally from Hamilton, have been expanding their trampoline business since 2010. Luke was happy to finally build a trampoline park near his old stomping grounds in the old Hastings building off Brook Street in Missoula. Flying Squirrel boasts a slackline, basketball and dodgeball arenas and a gigantic freestyle court. Children and children at heart can finally jam out in low gravity. Flying Squirrel is open every day from 10 to 10. It's open until midnight on Friday and Saturday. And again, it's located on Brooks in the old Hastings location. MTN's Donna Lakatua will have more on this facility coming up tonight at 10.
I could see myself doing that.
Dodgeball even? Let's do it.
I'd get on the trampoline. I'd be there forever. They'd never be able to get me off. It's just rolling around.
So much fun.
Up after the break, we learn about a government grant scam you should be aware of.
And if you think we're having a tough start to the winter, you should see what the East Coast is dealing with right now. We've got that still ahead here on KPAX. Stay with us.